Ba-da-ba-da-ba-bum. Boo! Welcome to the Blondes Conversation. We just practiced that twice before we started. Welcome. Welcome to today's episode.
But also because I would just like to point out Lauren changed the ending.
Yeah, boo!
It was something completely different. Suddenly does a randomly different one. So
Sorry.
anyway, we should say
hi,
hello.
welcome, I'm Lauren.
I'm Jacqueline. We are mother and
The
daughter.
Blondes.
Yeah, and the blondes, yes.
Yeah.
Just in case anyone's jumping in at this episode. Oh, God help you. Go back to the beginning.
No, don't. We get better as time goes on.
Do we get better as time goes on? Is that how
We
you
find
feel?
lines. Oh, isn't that a good metaphor to start today? God, I'm good.
Lauren is also slightly tired today. She's tired today, so we may get more noises as we go through, which is exactly what we do. We've had dolphins and all sorts already. You've missed out on that. In fact, Lauren may share the test drive that we do before every single bit of filming. Maybe you'll get some little insights into that.
Perhaps.
I feel when we hit the 10th episode, that's what you should do. Like literally, this is what I actually.
This is the 10th episode.
No,
This is the 10th episode. This is the 10th. The last one that I scheduled.
Right, well, I do feel I'm putting it out there that we need a little compilation.
10 episode in, just all of the bits I've cut. An entire podcast of
maybe
just
not.
like...
Maybe not all of the bits. The pauses. I'm guessing at this point people will have seen potentially the one where we just, float off into fantasy.
Well, I cut so much of that out because it was just completely and utterly insane. But there's the last episode, I lost my train of thought. And then you'll know that because at some point I go, and welcome back, because I've just edited this out and I've just come back when I've caught my train of thought. So, yeah, anyway.
Anyway.
Hello.
Yes. Well, let's
Longest
get on to...
intro ever.
I was going to say that was quite an intro. And also, a little bit of a theme tune for us, which we don't normally have at the beginning, do we?
We always have a theme tune. I have a problem. I always do a jingle.
We don't have an official one
No,
yet,
we
do
will though.
Yeah.
Adele, if you're listening.
if you were... Adele!
Can you imagine?
Actually,
I reckon Lewis Capaldi would do it for us.
Just on that note, I don't know if anybody out there has seen the most beautiful documentary that is on it's on Netflix. I don't know if I'm allowed to say things like this on podcasts, but I can.
Why would you not?
Get, like product placement, all of that. We get nothing, just so you know, no one pays us. But I've just this weekend watched Will and Harper. And it is Will Ferrell and his friend Harper Steele. It is stunningly beautiful.
Oh, I want to see that.
And there is a moment where they ring Kirsten Wig to do them a theme tune. So I'm a little bit like, and we never hear it. We never go back to it. She doesn't, obviously, I don't know that she doesn't get the opportunity to do it, but because of the time
They leave
frame,
you hanging?
they've only got a certain amount of days. I think
How
16 days
rude.
that they do the travelling. I would highly recommend it to everybody to watch.
Yeah, I will.
It is beautifully life-affirming. Will Ferrell, I loved Will Ferrell before. I think he's hilarious. Now I just think he's just the most loveliest man ever. You watch the emotions, and also Harper, and you see what this incredible woman has gone through and goes through and continues to go through, but how she grows. So anyway, this is me really kind of diverting, but
Yeah.
it was just...
That's a nice tangent.
Yeah, it was just the whole bit about the theme tune kind of thing. That's where that came from.
Sing the theme tune.
Yeah. So Kirsten Wig, if you do listen to this, what's the chance?
Do us a
But
theme
if you,
tune.
if you want to do as a theme tune as well. Adele. Can you see there's them two fighting about it? Not
And then Lewis
particularly,
Capaldi does one and we use his.
Yeah, he just comes in. Oh, I feel like, please give us 3 different ones. But equally, you know what? To anybody that's out there that's listening, if you're really good at creating a theme tune and you'd like to send it across to the Blondes, we will be open to listening to it.
How did this come out at the start of this
Not
podcast?
a clue, but I like it because this is how we work. We work this way, don't we?
Yeah.
Call it working? I'm not sure. Anyway, today's topic is... I feel like I might need to change the tone of my voice now to make it feel a
Today's
bit more.
topic is...
Alcohol!
And we're just going to list all of our favourites.
I was
No,
about
I'm
to say,
joking.
we're not going to list all of our favourites.
Can you imagine? Hello, welcome to 30 Minutes.
Where we talk about...
Rating tequila. Sorry.
I'm gone. No.
Out.
No.
0 out of 10.
No.
Do not recommend to a friend.
No. I know lots of people. No.
Anyway, so to bring this back to the serious note.
I I feel like we're in such a flow now with giggles that maybe we don't bring it back. In fact, I would just like to point out, somebody's just said that to us here about where we do our podcast. And the guys, sometimes they walk past either where we're recording or even when we've got the meeting room next door, and that we literally veer between... cackles of laughter. It was cackles.
She did say cackling.
Cackles of laughter and deeply serious.
Yeah.
And I do feel like that's what you get when you come and get a conversation with the blondes. That is literally what you are going to
We
get.
never pretend to be anything otherwise, though.
No, and I think...
we have been open about who we are from the very beginning.
I'd like to point out we've been consistent.
Oh, do you know what is funny is when I edit it and one of us does the cackle, is that the sound goes above what the computer likes. So I have to normalise that all out.
Yeah.
Yay me.
I'm not apologising for my giggle.
No.
Or yours.
I'm still doing it. That's why they're here at this point.
And most people, I always remember there's a video I once recorded, and actually the video was about me dancing and getting other people dancing. And before the video even came on, I laugh. And somebody had said, I don't even need to see you. I know who that is from that giggle. And I was like, well, there are worse things to be known by.
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
I'll be known by my giggle.
I'm all right.
Anyway, let's come back to
alcohol.
alcohol, because this is a conversation we've been having for ages. And it really has felt like it's been a part of, I feel like it's been a part of my life, the conversation around alcohol for at least a couple of decades. For you, it feels, what we're about to talk about today, it's much more recent, isn't it, for you, and much more challenging. Yeah, with the situations and things like that. And I do feel like what we're going to do, I'd like to do, Lauren, first of all, is get where you're at with alcohol and also your reasons behind wanting us to have a conversation about it. And then we can kind of go from there, because that's quite natural to us.
Yeah, definitely. So the reason I wanted to talk about this is, so I've recently given up alcohol. I've kind of considered this a lot, probably over the last 10 years or so. But, you know, the little voices in your head that, you know, tell you that you're going to miss out, or people aren't going to like you, and the different reasons why you drink. And I think, you know, this time is the first time that I've been like, no, I'm done. And the reason I want to talk about today was because this weekend we've had a lovely weekend with my parents-in-law. I actually like them. For those of you listening, haha, bet you gel. And also spending time with you and Dad and the family and stuff like that. And it's the first time. So I've actually got I've got a timer on my phone, but I've been alcohol-free for over a month. I'm really proud of myself. But it's the first time that I've been really tempted. And I think the reason I want to talk about it is because I think there's a lot of people who kind of, without realising, use alcohol the way I was using alcohol, which is to attempt to exist in a world that doesn't necessarily find you easy. I don't necessarily think I fit in easily in the world. I think I'm, realising that there's a neurodivergence there. I'm going for an autism assessment, and I've used it to mask my entire adult life. Like we'll go into more detail, but it's more about, I wanted to have this conversation because I think there will be other people out there who, are possibly using it in ways that they're not happy with, have considered, being sober curious a little bit. And I just think maybe it'd be interesting to have a conversation about, and to listen to a conversation from people who are going to be open about it. Like, I'm prepared to be open about my experience here, and why I've decided to go alcohol free. And then obviously you have been for a little while as well. So I just I thought it was just an important thing to talk about, especially since we're in the summer, and in this country, it's just so prevalent to drink all of the time, and I think it's just so normalised in our culture that there's a bev, and I was really lucky in that I kind of came to the decision for health reasons, because drinking alcohol triggers vertigo for me. And every time I've drank for the last couple of months, the hangover hasn't just been a hangover, it's been vertigo. And not being able to stand for 3 days straight is just not something worth doing. But, there's more than that as well. So at 18, I went to university. Obviously, think there's some form of neurodivergence underneath who I am. And I found being at university extremely uncomfortable, like for so many reasons. I was thrown into a flat of people who I didn't know, I'd never met. They were dirty. Um, the first flat I went into was horrific. Like I ended up having to leave because of bullying. Like I remember at one point I came home from work because I had to work through university because we didn't get the loans and things. So I worked a lot during university, and I remember coming home from work one evening late, and I hadn't been able to go out, and they were mad at me for not being able to go out because I was going to work. And when I came in, they'd managed to get into my bedroom and they'd tipped the kitchen bin in my bedroom, and my bed was covered in like old food and like all this kind of stuff. So I learned very quickly that you had to take part and be drunk for people to like you. Like that's kind of what I learned. So I moved into a different flat. Wasn't hugely different, I suppose. The people were far nicer, and I got on with them, and I managed to stay there that year. But it was the same thing. Like I was massively overstimulated by everything at all times. Didn't know what that was, so drank a lot. And then I got a job as a general manager of a bar. So drank more, and and then I moved to York and drank a lot there. And I just think that because it's so normal in terms of you're expected to go to Freshers Week and get battered, that nobody sees when it's not normal for you, because it wasn't normal for me. I didn't do the drinking thing growing up. I wasn't, like, we made jokes about this the other day about my siblings and them having their drunken moments, and I didn't have any because I wasn't really a drinker. So what's happened for me over the years is I've never got to a point where I'm desperate for alcohol. I don't drink often. Like, I haven't drank often. It's not like a daily thing. I'm not at a point where I'm drinking a bottle of wine a night or anything like that. But I've hit a point where I can't do social interaction without it because I'm so uncomfortable, because I've taught my body that the only way that I could be comfortable in public situations is to drink. So that's where that's where I'm at the minute, is that I hit a point where I've hit a point where I've taught my brain that one isn't enough. So I can't have one and stick at one. I can't just have a glass of wine nice with my dinner. Like, as soon as I have one, my brain's like, all right, okay, here we go. And then it wants to be drunk because I've taught myself that that's comfortable. Do you know what I mean? Like, which is understandable. But also just puts me in situations that aren't great, like either sitting and allowing things to happen to me, that, conversations and people to say things that are just not. I sit the next day and I'm like, why didn't I just speak up for myself? But obviously I was drunk, so I didn't. But then also, I think back to university and stuff and put myself in some really dangerous situations. So I was really lucky that's what I was talking about. I was really lucky that I'd kind of come to this conclusion because of the vertigo anyway. And then I follow a woman on Instagram called Amanda Hughes, and she has a podcast, and she'd invited Kirsty, and I'm pretty sure it's Sky Rose Coaching, but I'll double check the name and put it in the show notes. And she is a sober coach, and she'd done a blog for her on being a business owner and being sober curious, and like, instead of it being this, I'm a horrible person and alcohol, like, and I'm terrible, because I think I'd been so mean to myself for drinking for such a long time. And it was just this really like nice moment when I was reading the blog of being like, of course we drink, like, society's literally built for it. Like, it's constantly like, I have a mum, like, oh, it's been hard days, and mum have a glass of wine with lunch and whatever, and it is super normalised, like, oh, like, and how often do people say things, and we obviously don't have this, but I think back to teaching, and it's been a really hard day, and the people in the office would know that it'd been a really hard day. They'd be like, oh, get a glass of wine tonight down here because you've had a hard day. And it's like, oh, you deserve a glass of something to let your hair down after a hard day. And it's like, oh, and they don't mean anything by it, but it's just that sort of, do you know what I mean? It's like that automatic sort of, alcohol's the answer, without even realising that that's what they're doing, because it's just so normalised.
Yeah. And I guess I noticed, Lauren, it hasn't been a recent thing, really. It's been a long...
It's a recent decision, the solid decision to do it, but it's been a long time coming.
A history with that for you, and situations, because actually, just coming back to a point that you made, So when I went and did the counselling, and so how that started was I did the counselling degree, and part of that then we were given opportunities, and I then chose to work in two very different fields at the time. It felt one was chronic illness, the other was in alcoholism, and to work in that part. And
What
I
an incredible set of things.
well, I am incredibly grateful to have had both opportunities and to have met some incredible people. And the working on the alcohol side, and it's a long time ago, and I'm not going to go into loads of details, but the biggest thing for me about that was what it taught me about what society is teaching us. And I remember hearing this line from that, and probably this is where I find it really interesting that often when people... in fact, let me just bring it to me. When I feel angry, often I ask myself, what's the fear underneath it? So at that point, if you think you were all teenagers and, younger, when I went and did that, because it's a good couple of decades ago since I did it. And I remember being in this learning situation, and we had to go away for a weekend. I think we did this we met on this Thursday, and literally the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we had to count what alcohol units that we had. And now at that point, I have never been a big drinker. I can't handle it. I never have been able to. And there is a history for me around family and having a drink, and I have always had this fear about how people respond around with alcohol, and it not being true is the bit that I'm uncomfortable with. That's the bit around people I'm wary. And yet then when I go and I do this thing, and then what we learn is about, how many units, how long a unit it takes to metabolize in your body, what kind of amount of time you need, all of that. So you learn all this really practical stuff. And then I just remember the tutor saying, if alcohol was new now, it would not be legalized. Because of the massive impact that it can have on us. And yet there is this kind of, real opposites, isn't there? Which is this whole thing that, all the information, if you started to look about the damage, the impact, and also though, that I would like to point out where it can feel useful, which I want to come back to very shortly, because you were talking about masking, and that's how we use it to deal with some of the uncomfortable feelings that we have, or the fact that we just don't feel that we fit in. And then the other side of this is society, like literally at that time, go back in the day, so there'll be people listening to this that when I mention ER, they'll be like, I remember, yeah, George Clooney, all of them people. But even, in any television show at that time, how did they relax? A glass of wine. You could not. And I had never really seen that, because, that I like a glass of red wine. Like, even now, the smell of it, I can feel myself. And yet then there's something in my brain now that goes, because you won't like the result. You won't like the result of it. And yet it's that, isn't it? So it's managing...
It's interesting.
Society.
Yeah, because I wonder, because obviously, there's a lot of countries that aren't the UK, because the UK has a very big issue with it. But if you think about, Italy and, the Mediterranean and things, where they have a glass or two with dinner and that's it, and it's little glasses and things, and there doesn't seem to be the dependency on it that we have as a country, with the big binge drinking. Because that's the issue for me, is that I would love a glass of wine if I had one. But the point is that I've taught my body to not be able to do that. So now I'm going to have to stop it. And I don't think I'll ever try again because of the vertigo as well. But maybe if I'd grown up in a country where there wasn't, the two sides of the coin, because I feel like in this country, you're either someone who's like, yeah, let's go for a drink, or you're someone who's like, oh, I don't like drinking. And it's like, maybe if I hadn't been brought up in this country where it was so normalised to go and get absolutely blotto on the weekend, and you guys didn't seem to do it, but I watched other people's parents doing it, and I watched friends doing it and drinking, drinking in the cornfield at the back of the house and stuff like that. And I was just always a bit scared of it. Maybe I wouldn't have made it such a big deal. Maybe if it wasn't so openly available as a masking tool when I was 18. Maybe if we knew more about our bodies and what we were going through and all that kind of stuff, maybe there would have been a conversation that I could have had instead. If society was like in Italy, where you had a glass with one dinner a week just because it went with the fish. Do you know what I mean? That's what I mean, that would be, I don't see that as a problem.
Yeah, there's a question just popped in my head, and this isn't specifically a question for you, but it's something that I remember and actually it's a Gabor Mate video that I remember watching, where, you know, and so him, Johan Hari, they all talk about ultimately addiction with lots of things. But the question is, in what way does it serve you? Because I think often we can think that we should just stop it. And I think that's the thing. In what way does it serve you to do that habit? So very much, I think this is about the discovery. And I think it's, I want to just say right now, I'm not demonising alcohol. You're not demonising it. You know, absolutely, I understand.
No, this is a discussion of our experience.
It is our experience. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Coming back to what you said about how it served you, so my experience a number of years ago when it first started to change, mine was actually to do with running. And the more that I went under it, it was actually to do with the fact that I started to really look at what had made me drink in the first place.
Yeah.
Because I would have a taste of alcohol. I remember doing that. You know, I remember the sherry in the cupboard, the Welsh dresser as a kid, you know, the bottles of things. Exactly that face you just pulled. It's exactly that. But that's my first experience, a little taste of something. I remember my dad bringing ouzo home from, I think he'd been in Japan, but none of that. I just couldn't tolerate it in that sense. But then I got a job in a pub. You know, 18-year-old, I got a college. It is, again, not like university, but I think, you know, for me, it was about going out. And I remember, you know, you'd get bought drinks quite often if you worked behind a bar. And then ultimately, I started to change that because I just didn't like how I felt. Having explored it, though, what I began to realise was that when I went out, the alcohol carved my nerves. So if I'm talking about feeling dysregulated, this anxiety that I felt about my body image, about, you know, about being out around all of these people. I know you've spoken earlier about, you know, an autism assessment. I'm looking into an ADHD one because, you know, there's just a lot of factors that are kind of showing up, and how then did that help me mask this not feeling comfortable? I am definitely the woman who would just leave a night out. I know we've talked about this before, you know, so there's all these things that are now showing up for me, you know, feeling like I've just had enough, I'm overstimulated, all of that. And alcohol helped me stop that. But that's the bit you said there, though, was that once you've had the one, and I got this feeling, this sense of like what was joy in my head. It was like, well, this is going to continue. Give me more.
And relief.
Yeah, and and I would just be like, right, now I'll have another one, now I'll have another one.
Yeah,
and I didn't have a stopping point at that point. And actually, it took me years later when I've talked about this openly with a lot of people, when I then started to get active, and would still on occasion go out and have nights out. And I remember one particular time being with a really, one of my best friends in the world, being in Windermere. We'd been on a night out, and my whole thing about alcohol, actually, it was tied with food. So if I
get kebab on the way home.
Oh no, it's not just the kebab. I've just
cheese sandwich on your face.
Cheese sandwich on my face was the one I woke up with. But the one, I've just had an image in my head of being knelt down in front of the fridge at home at mum and dad's. But that was a typical. I would avoid I'd generally avoid the takeaway.
Yeah.
Apart from, you know, sneaky kebab every now and again. But I wasn't a big pizza lover, but I would avoid the takeaway. I'd be straight in front of the fridge.
Yeah, last time I got home drunk, before I decided to give up, I ate an entire bag of grated cheese.
Cheese?
Literally. Stood. And we have a camera in our kitchen because I have 2 dogs. Fuck, it's so embarrassing. Oh my God, the shame.
I'd like to point out...
it's a family trait.
It's a family trait too. I've never been so glad that social media didn't exist, or cameras in that sense didn't exist, when I was doing all of these things. You know, when you kind of look back and go...
Bag of grated cheese.
Yeah, bag of grated cheese. Oh.
And I didn't get a lot of it in my face. My husband had to get up and clean up after me the next
Mine
day.
was chocolate. So there'd always be chocolate in the fridge, there'd be cheese in the fridge. But I would eat the entire contents of the fridge pretty much that I could get my hands on, because I've now had a drink. And then kind of going forward that little bit, I just remember my whole habit started to change, started to become more active. And 2 big things happened to me because I wasn't really a big drinker. On the times that I did, having 4 children and now becoming a bit more active, everything just kind of collided in my head, and I was like, I'm not enjoying what happens after.
Mm-hmm.
So in you know, and I'm going to say right now, I don't feel like it's in comparison to your vertigo, because having had vertigo, that's horrific. For me though, that was a big factor, and it's interesting because I was thinking about this because I knew we were going to talk about it, and how often we'll kind of avoid situations so that we don't get put in that place. Actually, for me, I couldn't avoid it. It felt like. Because I don't know that I had the knowledge that I have now. So I kept getting put back into this place, but I just kept getting it wrong. And I just kept and then it was like something switched in my head. And I was like, it was the cheese sandwich. I woke up one morning and a cheese sandwich was attached to my face. And, you know, I look now and I just think, in that moment, I thought, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done, and I don't want this. And I think...
And the beer fear, like, just having to think about, like, oh, what did I say that's pissed someone off?
That's the bit.
Have I made a fucking dick of myself again?
And that's what I started
I'm waking
to
up
discover.
with bruises on my knees where I've obviously tripped over on my way home. And I've never done anything horrendous. Like, I've never tried to run anyone over or got in my car or anything like that. But it's always just this stuff that, like, that shame part of my brain latches onto for days. And I found out that after alcohol, in the time after, when you're, you know, in the hungover or the days after, you're 7 times more likely to commit suicide. And if you do alcohol and cocaine, you're 16 times more likely to commit suicide. So it physically does that to our brains. And as someone who has suffered with depression and anxiety, and, you know, now looking at neurodivergence and that kind of thing, it just isn't conducive to my brain.
And I think isn't. It's interesting because, you know, when we were talking earlier and we were saying about, you know, the risk factors, depression is another reason for me, because it was the impact on my mood. That was the biggie, right? So what I remember, and I've just had an image
I have
of
a friend who's given it up
graph.
for that as well.
So it's like, you know, you wake up without alcohol, you wake up and it's kind of like, you know, this place and how you're feeling. But what happens is you have the alcohol, the joy, and the euphoria, and then it's the dip. Yeah. And what can happen is it starts to lower. Is it you lower or you take it up, your tolerance? But what starts to happen is it's almost like it takes more to get back to a good level.
Same as it does with any drugs. It's why it's more and more and more.
And that's why you need it more and more and more.
Yeah, and actually, the high doesn't feel like a high.
And then can I point out, you get to a certain age and suddenly, the hangovers seem to last longer.
Oh.
So I
guess 30 and it's 3 days instead of 10 minutes. Like, oh, jeez.
There's a lot of stuff, a lot of science around that, which we won't get into now. But
again, around the menopause, just not interested in all of that anymore.
And you know the changes. I think it's a very personal decision. I also don't know that society feels like it's set up.
No.
I would say, though, that one of the things that started to change for me was to begin to notice how many people around me are not drinking. And I felt very lonely for quite a long time. And it was, you know, even because, so I switched it that I could have a drink. I changed the size of the glass. I like a little red wine. So I had a little red wine.
Yeah.
And I did it like a bit like an experiment. I remember going on this night out and I kind of visualised myself doing it a little bit differently because of the very thing that you've said, you know, if I have one, I end up having more. And I was like curious about that. And I thought, can I change it? Because I was realising for me that there was this whole thing about me that was like, you need to stop alcohol. It was like, so, you know, this whole judgment on myself and this rebellion, which was really happening, fighting my head. And I was like, what's the way to change this? And I was like, right, okay, listen to myself and what do I really want? And that was when the small glass of wine
and a Diet Coke.
And then a Diet Coke came in. And the very first night that I ever did that, it changed my life because I noticed the feeling that I got from this wine, but it was not enough to tip me over the edge where my brain went, I want more. And I'd also visualised what I was going to do different. And that night, it completely changed things for me. Now, fast forward, because that served me. I would say that probably served me up until I was about 45, 46, which sounds quite specific, but it was around about that time. And then the menopause, I think. And the changes happened for me.
Just feeling like, I remember, to be fair, in my memory of you hitting that point where you were just like, I just don't want it. It's like the headache afterwards and something about the way your mouth tastes and there's just a lot like the day after for you that I remember you being like, it's just not worth it.
Do you remember the night that I woke you up at 4 o'clock in the morning because I was absolutely terrified? We were at your house We'd been to Saltburn, and we'd had a glass of wine. I literally had a glass of wine. We were sat looking out over the sea, one glass of wine, and then we'd had something to eat when we got back. And I now know the combination of the two things, my blood sugar dropping,
heart rate went up.
And I woke up at 3:00 with my heart going really fast, it felt. And then it was scary enough that for the first time ever, I came and woke you up because I was terrified, because I couldn't get my heart, because I was practicing kind of slowing it down, all of that kind of stuff, and it just wasn't working for me. And it really freaked me out. And I've thought in my head, it's all in my head, and yet now I'm seeing a lot of women who it's like it's not.
But also, even if it was in your head, even if it was your head causing that, it's still happening.
Yeah, it did, and it was scary.
Like, I hate that sentence. It's all in your head.
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah, I do.
As though that's like not true.
I've also mentioned the book more than once, and I still can't remember the lady that wrote it, but I'm further into it, and my God, it's fascinating. But yeah, it's not, and I think so. I guess that leads us to this place where we've both
just
made
come to a point where we're not really drinking. I know that you will have maybe a glass of champagne if it's that like Night Timber one that's really lovely and stuff.
Did we just do another product placement?
But I
haven't for ages.
I know, but I've made a decision to stop, and it's interesting because this is the first time that it's not like you have to stop drinking because you're a mess and you're pathetic. It's like, oh no, I'm tired.
That's what I was just going to ask. How does that feel even to say that this time and noticing the difference in the tone of voice?
Yeah, it is really different. And it's interesting actually because I got upset with my husband last night. I had a good cry. But just because, so I've had a wonderful weekend with everybody and it has pushed this version that I'm accepting of myself who gets overstimulated to the limit. Like I am exhausted. It's been gorgeous and I now need a couple of days where I don't talk to anyone. But I had a cry with him last night because we had a barbecue yesterday. Obviously, I wasn't drinking, which is fine. I smelt his beer and I was like, oh, I could have had a glass of that. But what made me sad yesterday, what made me upset was just the fact that I get tired, right? I have a chronic illness, multiple chronic illnesses, a neurodivergence, and I get tired, like I have a toddler. And alcohol is what means I can push through that. So if I wanted to go out and have a night out, and my hope is that I'll eventually get to a point where I'm comfortable going back. I'm not at the minute yet. I'm not going in pubs. I'm staying away from them because it's just too close. And I don't want to be tempted. I want to stay away from that for now. So I'm just not going in them. I don't want to be triggered like that. But let's say that I do want to go out and have an afternoon where it's a barbecue and it goes late into the night, thinking about the flat parties and things like that. What happens is I hit 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and I am tired and I want to go home. And for me, the way through that is to drink through that zone. Because I drink through that zone and then I get the second wind. Because then I get the drunk wind. And I get the version of me that can stay up and stay late and have the fun. So what upset me last night was that realisation that I'm probably going to be the early leaver. Because without the alcohol, the exhaustion hits me like a train. So it hit me yesterday. It was a gorgeous afternoon with gorgeous people, all of whom I like and I'm comfortable with. And I still hit a point where I was done. I couldn't have any more conversation, even with you. Like, I just hit a point. So when it was great because my son wanted to go home. And that worked out really well because actually I think I'd hit that point too where I needed to go home. But that's devastating. Like, how much am I now going to miss out on? And it's not like I'm missing out because I need to be pissed for it, but I'm missing out because that's what I used to avoid the part of me that's exhausted. And I think, that really, that upset me last night. So it's like, it's why I wanted to talk about it, because I just wanted to say that, this is a decision I've made. This isn't from a position where I'm like, I'm better, I'm holier than thou now, because I don't drink. It's not any of that. It's just, this is where I've got to in my life. And it's still hard. Like, I do find it difficult. And this is, I'm not giving up alcohol as someone who was an alcoholic. So I can't imagine what that's like. But I'm giving it up as someone who absolutely knows I was using it to mask. Absolutely understands now that I was using it to get through, like, exhaustion and push past chronic illness and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, there's so many good things that have come out of it. So we went on a really early rain walk with my toddler, where he went on his bike. And we were in the puddles and we were so wet. And that was a Sunday morning. And like, how many Sunday mornings have I missed because I was hanging? You know what I mean? Like, that was amazing. I haven't glutened myself in ages because I find it really hard when I'm hungover because I'm hungry. and being celiac and having to cook something like when you're hungover, just, you know. So I just wanted to eat proper food, like normal food. I haven't done that because I haven't felt the need to. And yeah, so it's just been an interesting little journey. That I thought was worth sharing.
And I guess the bit that I heard there was you don't know yet how you'll get through that zone.
No, and I'll find that, and either I'll become the early leaver, and I'll have to work with the part of me that thinks that makes me boring and unlovable, and I'll have to sit her down and talk to her and figure that out, or I'll find the comfort to move through it anyway, and the only way that I'll figure that out is by doing it.
I'm curious.
Do
you think I'm boring?
No. No, but when I was drunk, sometimes I'd be like, I just wish you'd have a drink with me and get on with it. But I also recognise that I struggled with people who didn't drink when I was drinking because it's just a mirror, innit?
Yeah.
So for me, being able to see someone who's not drinking just shines a light in the fact that actually I think I knew subconsciously that I was only drinking for comfort. Like I've always joked about the fact that my joke has always been, if I'm going to drink, I'm getting drunk because I don't particularly like alcohol. So I wouldn't drink because I enjoyed it, as in, like, you know how some people just love a glass of wine? Like, I do, but I like the feeling more. Mm-hmm. So
I just had a vision of your bouncer on your door, and how funny that it's a nightclub door. You know, the reticular activating system.
Oh, where he's letting stuff in and letting stuff out.
Yeah, because it's what it lets in, isn't it? And there's your belief. It's like, say the belief again about if I'm having one, I'm having more, or I missed it. But
if I'm getting if I'm having a drink, I'm getting drunk.
So imagine that. It's like now you look for any opportunity. So I just had this vision of me being stood at the door ready to come in, and you're like, you are not getting in. No. No way am I dealing with someone who's not having a drink. Out.
Yeah.
Out. You do not fit.
Yeah. Bye. Which is interesting because now, as someone who isn't, and like, I'm really excited, right? Because I've got a hen party coming up. I got married in 2020 and my hen party was cancelled because of COVID, and I'm finally getting my hen party this year. And that was a really big moment of grief for me, having decided that this was happening, and then the next day going, my hen party's in like 3 months, but being like, but I don't want to go back on this. I don't want to go back on this. I don't want to get, because I'll be getting drunk for the sake of getting drunk.
Yeah.
I'd be getting drunk for the people-pleasing part of me who's worried what other people are going to think. But it's like, actually, I don't know any details apart from that we're going to this beautiful place that I've seen some pictures of. I want to be aware of all of it. And I'm the kind of person, I've hit an age where not only does alcohol trigger vertigo, but it triggers blackouts. I don't remember a lot from the nights before, and then other people have to piece it together for me. I'm not doing that on my end,
No.
So, you know, so I'm excited and I'm not shot in that fucking Aperol that you made me... What?
Hang on, it wasn't Aperol, it was...
Fake martini, alcohol-free, awful
alcohol-free. I never said that you had to do that, and I didn't ask you to drink it.
The worst. I was going to make a joke about doing shots of that, and then my brain was like, you are not!
Yeah, it's not the best version.
Awful.
So the thing there...
Yeah, we should pull this to a close.
Actually, though, you're seeing some of the positives and the benefits, I would say, rather than positive, because it's not positive and negatives. You're seeing the benefits of that.
Yeah.
And you reminded me of the moment that I remember starting to go for runs on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And suddenly, it's a bit like when you were saying about going for a walk, you know, with
the swings are worth it. And you go, oh, this is why.
Yeah, and that was it. And there's whole other worlds out there.
Yeah, I've started reminding myself. So things happen and I go, this is why I'm doing it.
This is why.
And also being kind to myself in the moment. So Friday night, I had, for the first time in ages, was like, I really want to like text someone and be like, should we go to the pub? Like, I felt that urge in my body and I didn't want to do it and I wasn't going to do it. But I was like, okay, so what does it want though?
That's the bit.
Because I don't want a drink because I couldn't give a shit about the alcohol. Yeah. But my body obviously needs something. So I said to my husband, I was like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what I want, but something is happening in my body that I'm either trying to avoid or I need some sort of
connection.
Like something.
Yeah.
And I ended up going and did I sit in my office or did I just sit downstairs with him? And I painted. Like I used Procreate on my iPad and I painted and it was genuinely lovely and I felt really calm. And then I woke up on Saturday and felt great. And I was like, okay. If you're thinking about being sober curious, if you're thinking about giving it a go, it doesn't have to be giving it up forever. But if you are considering it and you're like, maybe I'll try a week, maybe I'll try a month, whatever, just to see what else it brings you. Because I think every time I've come at this from a place of lack, of I need to give it up, that's really like, that's really emptying, isn't it? It's really like you leave like a hole where you're like, oh, I'm going to miss out on all of it. But it's like, no, hang on. What are you looking to gain? So the woman, the Sky was coaching that I mentioned earlier, she talked about the fact that she has like an app on her phone that calculates, she put in how much she was drinking and it calculates over the years how much money she saved. So I think she said she'd been sober for 7 or 8 years now. But she'd saved like £55,000 by not drinking over those years. Not that she could tell you where it was.
Yeah, so it's gone somewhere else.
Because I've done a month of no drinking and I'm like, how do I normally afford to drink? Because I could, like, all my money's gone.
Spend it elsewhere.
But, you know, and in fact, even saying that though, my brain was like, but I bought some clothes. And normally I'd be like, oh, I can't afford them. And that, like, last month, I bought a couple of bits that I normally would have said I couldn't have afforded. So it is quite interesting, isn't it? So yeah, that would be what I'd say.
Yeah, I think you've got to find why it matters to you.
Yeah.
And also, you matter. I think you've got to find why it matters to you. I also think there's the whole bit about the exploration. How does it serve me? So, you know, what is this doing for me is a biggie. Yeah. And also then what does that part of me need? Because there's a part within it. I can feel this part of me that just has felt left out for years.
Yeah,
and left out. And used to watch everybody and you'd see everybody laughing and joking. And it was almost like I was becoming this part of me that felt like there was something wrong with me because I didn't want to drink.
Yeah.
And actually what I've realised and what I'm seeing is there are more and more places. So I am going to talk just very briefly about my great joy at the Formula One film that's got Brad Pitt in it. Thanks. I did remember. I could see him before I said his name. Brad Pitt in it. And actually what I noticed was the drinks were all alcohol free.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
The product placement was 0% alcohol. So I think it's about, you know when we talked about
things, just
this
little...
how the filter changes as well for us. So it's like actually, I think sometimes when we come from a place, you're right, of lack, we begin to, it's almost like because we've got this belief, if I start drinking, I need to get drunk, or, you know, there's no good stuff around me, we're only going to let that in. And yet this whole bit about being able to change that and go, right, hang on a second, there are benefits to this. Let me find the benefits. Let me see.
Yeah, like the first Friday night, me and my husband, you were having Arlo, and I was like, I want to do something. So we went outdoor swimming at 7:00 at night. And we never would have done that. No. We never would have thought of that, you know. And it's just interesting to then go, all right, okay, there are other things. There are other things. And I think, So if you've listened, thank you.
And thank you for letting us share our thoughts. And Lauren, thank you, because it has been a hell of a journey just recently for you with everything. And also, you know, I am glad that I could be of some support, and you know, even buying things, because I think that's a biggie. I know we talk about scaffolding quite a bit. Scaffolding is the support around you. Little things like, for me, it was buying alcohol-free sparkling wine that was actually quite lovely yesterday.
Yeah, having people around you who aren't going to judge dicks about it.
Yeah.
You know, because there's always going to be those people who are like, well, why aren't you drinking? Well, I quite like to just be like, why are you?
That's a question I keep seeing often, is people talk about that. So why are you drinking? What makes you drink? You know, it's like...
Just turn the mirror back on yourself a second.
So even if you're asking that question of a friend who doesn't drink, just take a moment.
Why are you drinking? What do you want to hide from?
Or what does it bring you? How does it serve you? What is it that it does for you?
Yeah,
you know, because I think that's the part, and knowing you matter, for us, knowing that you matter, I think that's why this is an important topic, because we're kind of exploring the ways in which we want to be more real to who we are.
Yeah, that's it. And you know, I'll keep you updated if you're on Threads. I talk about it a lot on there, and you'll no doubt on our social media see end party updates. Yay! So you'll see how that goes.
I know all the details, so I can't wait to not tell you until we get there. And I was about to say no surprises, but I'm like
All surprises.
all
Only surprises.
Yeah, absolutely.
No information.
Total
Literally, they sent me a
secrets.
sheet of paper with the info on it. It just said, haha, you're not getting any. And I was like, you fuckers. Anyway, on that
Thank you
note,
for listening.
thank you for joining us.
We would love to know your thoughts.
Yeah, catch her in the comments.
From your perspective.
Yeah, and there's no judgment.
Nope, none in the
If you love a
slightest.
drink,
Yeah.
great. We've got loads of friends who love a drink, and that's totally fine.
I think it's just making space for everybody and personal preference, and also just if this is something you were curious about. I just feel like it's not me. Just me now. Yes, thank you for listening.
See ya. Wouldn't want to be here.